Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. The work session today is our annual, this will be the 2015 year-end review discussion, and if there's any questions, feel free to ask along the way. I've got to, obviously a lot went on in 2015, so I've got a lot to cover. The intent is to simply give a recap to the Commission on the various projects and things that you addressed throughout the year, along with to address some of the projects that we continually are working on. I'm not addressing all the issues. If there was some of the smaller things that we've worked on, I don't necessarily hit on those. I'm just hitting on some of the more the more major projects or the things that I feel like that you would be interested in. So what I'd like to do first is kind of go over the year-end review, where we were, and then I'll talk about some things as of to where we are. And then I've got a PowerPoint on some things as of to where projects where we're heading. All of them are somewhat interconnected, and some of these projects we have been working on as long as the last 2 or 3 years. So if you'll turn to the, I've passed out to everybody a copy of several documents. The first one is with the heading 2015 Year-End Review. I'll start talking about, or out by discussing the commission meetings. Last year, the Commission attended 21 regular meetings and attended 4 special called meetings for a total of 25 commission meetings. So for half of the year, the Commission was in a meeting, and obviously there was also groundbreakings and other conferences and meetings that the Commission attended as well. But overall, from my standpoint, it's very rewarding to have a commission that meets as frequently, because if there is an issue, something that has to be addressed, we don't go a long period of time to be able to do so. I've broken the projects down, and again, these aren't necessarily by time frame of when they happen. This is more by heading. The first item is under utility projects and services. The first project, which is very important to the region, and I know is very dear to the City Commission, is the utility project. And of course, the city had recently awarded a $6 million project for Marion's branch, which consists of the water tank and the water and sewer transmission lines. That project is scheduled to be completed by May of 2016. We generated $1.4 million in single county coal severance. We generated $3.166 from RD bond, and then $1,534,000 through rural development grant, for total committed dollars of around $6 million. And again, that project was bid, it was let, and is currently under construction, and is one of the last phases of the total Marion's Branch project in order to make it suitable and ready for development. The next item will flow into that, which is the $5.7 million for the Marion's Branch Industrial Road. That was a project that was funded through the discretionary funds of the governor, through Governor Beshear's administration. And that project under Phase 1 and Phase 2, with Summit designing it and overseeing the project, that project is now completed. The next project is the bridge project. A lot has gone on. This is in 12 years that I've had the privilege of working for this commission and the city. This is the first bridge that we have done. The project itself is the Marion's Branch Bridge, which will lead to the industrial park. We'll go down on South Mill Trail, that beside of Fastenal, the old Colmac property that most folks recognize it as. The city has purchased the old Colmac property for a sum of about $800,000. We purchased the T&J car lot, also Joanne Johnson's property, generating there approximately 7 to 8 acres of property, not only for the bridge, but that will be suitable for development at a later date. But we also purchased the property on the other side of the river, which was part of the Patton property, and several other areas that was a part of that at a very reasonable rate. So all the property and easements were in place. The project has been designed, has been let, and recently started its construction phase. So if anybody's been down on the South Mill Trail lately, you'll see the trees are cleared, and the project is currently underway. That project, too, I'll add, is scheduled to be completed by October of this year, which will complete by that time everything at Marion's Branch should be prepared. We also don't think I've got it on here because it's a project we're working this year, but since I'm on that subject, we're also currently working with Kentucky Power on getting the power to the first site, which should be let sometime the first part of this year as well. Also, again, under projects, we executed an electrical inspection backup agreement with Darren Compton. The Walters Road Utility Project was recently completed. I know the Commission is familiar with that project. Had numerous calls by the residents there that had came to a Commission meeting some time ago, very satisfied with the outcome of that project. The Walters Road AML project was also complete. Both those projects were going on at the same time, and we were also able to remedy the issue with the road with the AML as well. This year we spent well over $300,000 for new asphalting, repairing our roads within the city. Typically we budgeted around 170 to 200,000 because of the bad spring and winter we had last year. There was a need to repair more roads than normal. So the Commission, as you know, altered the budget to increase the budget amount in order to make sure that all roads are safe and passable. We also continue to move forward with a $22 million sewer plant. In the Commission's packet today is not only the update from Summit Engineering, but at Commissioner Justice's request at the last meeting, I am now asking for Vaughn and Melton, who's doing the design, to give an update, a continued update every Commission meeting on where we are with the sewer plant. So I'll be able to provide that for you too. Again, the sewer plant is scheduled to be completed by fall of 2017. This will be a major investment for the community. The benefit of the plant is it not only will give us the ability of doubling our capacity currently as it's completed, but in the future will give us the opportunity of simply by dropping in additional membranes of growing that plant to 6 million gallons instead of the 4 million where we'll be, currently the 2 million we're at right now. So that's a project that, and I don't have the funding breakdown, but I'm very proud of the fact that a big portion of that project with the direction of the Commission was a grant. The Commission over the last 3 years has paid off a considerable amount of debt through our previous bonds. So when we do our cost of study service, those revenues on top of the grants that are coming in will be seen as part of the cost analysis. Recently, we also, and it was in the press, that we recently the city disapproved Suddenlink's franchise agreement demanding Suddenlink fixed services for the community. With the help of the attorneys, I've drafted a letter under my name through the Commission's last motion and have sent that to Suddenlink and are currently awaiting for them to respond. So I'll keep you updated as we move forward. But that did happen again in 2015. The Thompsonsville lift station relocation was awarded. That's the project down at the Pikeville Commons, and that's again to relocate the sewer line, to upsize the capacity to the sewer line there with all the retail building, and to also lay the line which went across the parking lot before they started with the construction of the commons. And then that will afford us the last piece of it, which is what we're working on now, is to relocate the lift station, which you see running there parallel with Thompson's Road, to move it to the back of the property. So from a safety standpoint of getting it off of the public easement to get rid of the visibility, and it's also not very appealing. We also executed a 10-year solid waste agreement, or extended the agreement for another 10 years, working with Judge Bill Deskins in the Pike County Fiscal Court. So the city, again, for the next 10 years, has solidified the contract with the county with solid waste, so we're in good shape there as well. Obviously, if you've been downtown, you've noticed a lot of work going on in the Methodist Church. The Commission also voted to close portions of Cricket Alley to help the project preserving this historical landmark within our community. We removed, there had a lot of issues related to the flooding, as I mentioned earlier, with the storm and flooding event this year, early 15. We have awarded the Peach Orchard Slide project and completed it. The Kiowani Slide has been awarded. The bid has been put out, and we're simply waiting for FEMA to give us the thumbs up to actually start the construction phase, but those funds are committed. The Poplar Street Slide, same thing. We have awarded, we've bidded, and we're waiting for bids to come in. Those should be in by the next commission meeting for us to execute that project to move forward. The Harold's Branch slide was also awarded and completed, and then the Mullins Addition water line failure, which was the most significant of the projects. Again, that has been designed, has been bid, and the award is contingent upon the funding. The funding we have preliminary received approval on. We are simply waiting for FEMA and the state to finally give the final thumbs up, which we expect any day now. We repaired several components or pieces of the Keyser Heights concrete that had failed. We replaced some the year before, and then again, the areas that we didn't get the year before, we finished those up this year. The commission waived all tap fees and connection fees for the Habitat for Humanity project. Again, I know the commission understands the importance of that project and wanted to fully support, and I know the Habitat folks along with the city appreciates your position on that. We extended SMG's operational contract to end through June 30th, 2017 for the operation of the Expo Center. We hired the nation's leading expert in development of broadband technology through CTC Technologies, Joanne Hovis, for the development of becoming a gigabit community. We also joined the Next Century Cities supporting their principles becoming a gigabit city as well, and utilizing their abilities and all their research, noting that there is, I think, 140, 150 members of that organization, and it's cities like Los Angeles, Lexington, New York, and now Pikeville. Going forward, and again, I'm not saying again, I did not list everything, but that's the bulk of things that I think the commission would be interested in. Going into economic development now, the first item is, of course, the Pikeville Commons. The project was let, obviously, and completed in 2015 with the new post office being developed. It's a $44 million investment, bringing in 400 to 600 new jobs. What was open was, of course, Hobby Lobby, Marshalls, Petco, Justice, Ulta, Maurice's, Rack Room, Dress Barn, Ross's, GNC, One Main Financial, the Pro Golf Shop, Kay's Jewelers, mentioned the post office, and the apartments. Set that has been announced to open at the Commons is Wildcat Warehouse, Moe's Southwest Mexican, Jimmy John's, and there will be a few others. We'll also mention down in the retail area, Bojangles, Buffalo Wild Wings, and a new dentist office is all in the planning and under construction. And I know there's been some question in the market as to why Buffalo hasn't started yet. But if you recall, during the grand opening, or the groundbreaking ceremony, Justin Juice Schmidt mentioned that they would not start till sometime into the first of the year, hoping around January or February, with the intent of opening after March Madness sometime in April or thereafter. I had a conversation with Juice last weekend, and he stated that the design is done, the bid has been put out, and they're expecting, if the permits come back from the state, to break ground the first week of February. So all is moving forward with Buffalo's. Bojangles, of course, there's been a lot of question in the market where they're going. They have purchased property right beside of Buffalo Wild Wings, and the hope is that they will start construction early spring of this year. The franchisee that is doing Bojangles bought 4 other locations, and 4 in West Virginia, I think it's 4 in West Virginia, and 1 in Kentucky, and of course the one in Pikeville is the one in Kentucky. The commission authorized moving forward a curb cut for Todd Mayhorn's development here on Scott Avenue, which is currently being constructed. The city executed a lease agreement for the Arts House by the name of Rustic Roots on 2nd Street that was recently opened by Maura and Caitlin Salmons and Maura Minix. So that most of the commission either attended the ribbon cutting or had the opportunity to visit, but it's a great addition to the community, and in conjunction with what the Main Street program did with Mickey's, which is also a great addition to upgrade to 2nd Street. The city also hired Benny Garland, who the city partnering with U-Pike to develop the 2015 telecommunication facility that has been recently announced. The telecommunication facility will be a 2016 project for the Big Sandy Technical College. The city recently approved 2 grants to execute memorandums of agreements with 2 grants, $500,000 through CDBG and then another $500,000 for ARC. But with the support of Congressman Rogers, this project has become a reality, and it simply started with a conversation between myself, Congressman Rogers' office, and Benny Garland, of which we pulled in the university and now the technical college. So it's been a great project. As everyone knows, Alltech also broke ground on the new distillery brewery and gift shop and visitor center to be located in downtown. I've got some slides on that in a moment. I actually spoke to Pierce Lyons yesterday. He called me yesterday afternoon, and they are planning a small event at the Hilton Garden here in the near future. Matter of fact, I'm meeting Wednesday with his master brewer just to give the community an update on what's going on. Again, as part of the groundbreaking event, as Dr. Lyons explained, the first several months of the project would be doing a lot of work on subsurface. They were forced because of the bedrock to go down about 90 feet, investing several $1 million in the steel or the pylon casings that had to be poured first. So all the concrete trucks you've seen in there has been stabilizing or to be able to support the vats that will be coming in. But they just finished that work last week, and they are now starting on the foundation. So you should start seeing some things coming out of the ground a little quicker, but they have been diligently at work for the past, ever since the groundbreaking. We've also leased in 2015 to Mitch Potter's company, the old train depot, for the development of a new Irish-style brew pub, and there is some information forthcoming on that soon that we'll be able to share. I mentioned already the groundbreaking of Buffalo Wild Wings, which construction should start in February 2016. Other restaurants that have been announced in the market is also Jimmy John's and Moe's Southwest Mexican. Both those will be located as part of the Strip Center, which is underneath the apartments there in the Commons. There's also the Blue Raven has announced that Matt, obviously Corbin, that they'll be opening a new pizza place on Main Street in the old Main Street Grill. That's currently under construction, expected to open fairly soon. Chick-fil-A, which is part of the U-Pikes new optometry school, which that is scheduled to be completed sometime in fall. And then already mentioned Bojangles, and then we have been obviously working on the possibility of the Biscuit World as well. The city, in order to support business, approved a curb cut and zoning changes to accommodate Biscuit World, but that's being done by a private developer and a private property owner, as you're aware. The city also submitted and will receive a grant for the development of a new expanded farmers market on the OWLSI property. Last Monday, we met with their committee and expect very positive news any day now. As a matter of fact, we were given some preliminary thumbs up, but still has to go through the committee process. So the community will be hearing more about that as well. As Commission is aware, also at Dr. Lyons' request, with Alltech, we traveled partnering with the Sister City program with the city of Dundalk, which is the home place and birthplace of Dr. Pierce Lyons. We also worked with the university funding as the conduit for funding the new optometry school that I mentioned earlier. The obviously project would not be done if it wasn't to receive the rural development funds. And as a partner to the university, the city was more than happy, the commission, to step up and pass the ordinance to be able to help with those funds. Now, I have heard this in the market before, and I'll just make this point one more time, is that the city acts simply as a conduit when we do these projects. The city burdens no liability from the standpoint of financial responsibility. The financial responsibility is solely upon the institutions that receives the funds. But it requires a municipality or a government agency to be able to achieve or get the grants. So the city was such conduit. Moving forward under tourism and arts and entertainment, under quality of life as well, the city constructed and opened the new zip line, redid the parking lot and zip line headquarters. And I will mention that the city has, at the commission's request, wanting to make this affordable, has the lowest zip line rates in the state of Kentucky. Through our research, I think there's 9 zip lines throughout the state. Our price last year ranged between $20 and $29 per average per person, depending upon what size group, and was very successful. So we're excited to move forward with opening this year as well. We also launched our marketing plan for Zip Paddle and Saddle. Again, a total package of 2 hours 2 hours paddling on the river and 2 hours horseback riding for the low price of only $69. Which I'll add, most zip lines you can't do for the $69 price. So again, a great job on behalf of the commission. The commission constructed the new the new horse ring for Dream Stables, who has announced their new horse lineup shows for 2016 up at Bob Amos Park. We also received a grant for installing equestrian ring mats around the small training ring at the top of the hill as well. Executed an agreement with the county to develop the Judicial Plaza. We're still waiting on the AOC to formally approve, but the commission, as you know, in 2015 approved the plan and approved the funding to do so. We also completed the new Terrace Stadium seating project, which will hold 2,500 spectators, and we've been able to host, obviously, a couple of events along with our drag racing series, and this year our first demolition series, so which Andy's in the room. Construction started also on the new after we developed the seating. The commission wanted to see steps that led from the terrace seating to the riverfield, so those were constructed with a removable bridge as well, so that was done last year. The city also signed an agreement with Carl D. Perkins Job Corps to work various events downtown, including to participate with the York House project, which I'll talk about in a moment. We also completed a bike trail study by Summit Engineering, and the city was recently awarded a $500,000 grant to construct a new bike trail in the downtown area. We are waiting for the feds to release the money on the bike trail, at which time the MOA will be submitted and we'll be able to execute with the intent of hopefully a spring start on the actual construction. We completed the Veterans Memorial Park building, and to honor the veterans within our region who lost their lives for this country. And we also worked with the Veterans Group to construct a new shelter for the Memorial Park. Funding was also granted for the historic York House. The city received a $15,000 grant from the state. We hired Bob Yap, who is he is nationally renowned, but I would say almost world renowned, who is creating a feasibility plan for us to work with on different cost savings and historical components in order to get this project completed. This will be in 2016. We will host, as Bob has said, this will be the largest workshop for historical preservation that's ever been held in the U.S., doing the windows and the siding project all in 1 week with about 50 volunteers is the intent. We also awarded the slate roof. The roof has been, the decking has been completed. It is tarped, the slate has been ordered, and we are waiting to finish the foundation stabilization, which should be done by the next meeting. We hope to have those bids for that project, and then once the foundation is stabilized, which is very minor work, then the slate shingles will be placed on. We don't want to be messing with the foundation, and the slate, obviously, shingles shift. So that's the holdup on that. I mentioned the relationship with the Job Corps, and the city has been able to spend or save thousands and thousands of dollars by working, and will be working with the Job Corps, along with UMG has volunteered their electrician to work with us on getting the electrical work done. We'll be able to use Job Corps for the hanging of the sheetrock and things such as that as well, which will add a tremendous savings to the project. We also have the first, it was the commission labeled the York House as a Heritage and Arts Center, and we will be announcing soon the first exhibit that will be held in the house, which is slated for January 2017 with a relationship with the University of Pikeville, and information, a press release or conference will be held at a later date when the university is ready. What I've listed for you also in your packet is the 2015 attractions and events. In a moment, when I go through the PowerPoint, you'll see a calendar that the tourism department, led by Andy and Sean and his group, has put together that lists all the different events through the weekends, and you'll see we've got a very busy lineup. But as you go down through everything from Half Moon McCoy River Trails, Muscle on Main, Terrace Seating, Demolition Derby, Heritage, the historic Poly Bridge, Main Street Live, Dream Stables Horse Trail, the equestrian ring, the walking trails, Bob Amos picnic shelters, a horse-drawn carriage, the historical riding tours, the Half Moon McCoy feud sites, zip line, Jenny Wiley Theater, Hibley Days, Kids Day in the Park, Half Moon McCoy's Mine Safety Competition, 4th of July celebration, Half Moon McCoy's Heritage Days, numerous 5K events, Rough Tough Cuss, RV Park, Bathhouse, Special Needs Park, the YMCA paintball course, the Riverfield Arena Seating venue, Nightmare on Main, Haunted Holler Hayride, and of course the East Kentucky Expo Center. Since I'm on that issue, the East Kentucky Expo Center, also in your packets you will see a blue sheet. I'm not going to go through all this obviously, this is just for your viewing pleasure. As I mentioned, the Expo Center had 200 what they consider event days. An event day is simply an event that happens during that day. So they had 226 event days during the 2015 year, and I have listed all those events for you in your packet so that you can go through and see what's going on at the Expo Center. I would also mention the Expo Center did have the best financial year that in the history of the Expo Center. The projected loss was within budget of a little over $450,000, so a great job to Cindy and her team for their fiduciary responsibility to the facility. Under energy management, the city signed an agreement with HIDA, and actually I'll mention I have an item added, I'll get it, to your agenda tonight. The HIDA contract is due to be signed, so I would ask, I just got it today and it needs to be signed this week, so I've added that to the agenda tonight. But the city is involved with HIDA, and also we have an officer that is registered through the HIDA program with the FBI and has numerous assets available to our disposal. The police department became an accredited department. Chief Philip Ree completed the Criminal Justice Executive Development Training Program. He was also appointed to the Criminal Justice Board by the governor. The police department purchased their police interceptors, which are all-wheel drive vehicles, for the first time, and we've heard great reviews with those. You've seen those, looks like ATVs, which is the 2015 vehicle of choice. We installed several LED flashing stop signs that the commission wanted to see installed at various locations. We were awarded a $25,000 highway grant, safety grant, to concentrate on highway safety, seatbelt, various things on the highway. We implemented the post-traumatic stress disorder training and consulting services with Dr. Leanne Ford at no cost to the city, which is a great and wonderful service that she's providing at no cost. We were acknowledged by Sue Etta Clevenger with the Pike County Health Department for the outstanding job that the police and fire department does on child safety seats, installations and inspections for the community. We also implemented a K-9 unit with Josh Lawson, Officer Lawson, which we should be seeing the dog soon. I had the opportunity of seeing a picture of the pooch on Friday, so really excited to get him through that program and to bring the dog forward for the community's benefit. Also in your packet, and again, next meeting, as we typically do, is when we follow this meeting, next meeting will be the update by the police and fire department. But you've got it's not as in-depth as the report that Philip and Ronald will provide, but you also have the Public Safety 911 Center Call CAD report. I put that in for your viewing pleasure. Last year, the police department, and again and we've had this discussion several times, that when you look at a city with a population of only 7,000, you have to realize, and the commission is aware, that we have a service area of over 200,000. And people that are coming to work, visit, shop, et cetera here. So last year, the police department answered 12,520 calls. The fire department, 1,269, and EMS, 1,813, for a total call rate of 15,602. And again, at our police department, we have 20 officers. The fire department, we have 30 firemen. So you can go through that, and if you have any questions, then feel free to bring them up at the next meeting. IT changes. We launched our new website. We revamped the website, taking off a lot of the fluff, putting on our website only what the community said that they wanted to see so that it wasn't too busy. We launched that back in January of 2015. We launched our new tourism website, and then last year, and has a lot of great components to it, but not satisfied with it, so we contracted through BitSource to develop a new improved site that is scheduled to be launched within the next 30 to 45 days. More functionality, easier to navigate, a lot of things that will be better for us, and then also it's great to have a resource like BitSource in our community as well. We launched our new economic development site with Statebook. We are now working with our new administrative economic development director. Spent some time with her last week and again this morning. I will have a packet for you in the commission meeting that we're getting ready to put into hard form that will list all the economic development data that we will be displaying as part of the Marions Branch site. We put a lot of work into bringing some of our gems forward, the hospital, the university, those type of things, but also bringing out all our economic data. So I think you'll be very impressed with what she's done over the past month, and really excited. And then on Thursday morning, I'm meeting with Benoist Chuck with One East Kentucky, but there will be an economic development summit held later in the year here in Pikeville, and I'll be meeting on Wednesday with the coordinator of that event, which will give us the ability of showcasing Pikeville and our economic development opportunities. But the Statebook website will be specifically geared towards economic development only. We also signed an agreement with Windstream to take over the city's broadband, enhancing our broadband capability. We awarded a bid for a new phone system. Those are supposed to be completed by the 26th, somewhere through there. I don't have the specific date, but this month we'll be live with the new phone system. All the upgrades have been almost completed. We moved Pike TV out of the old city building to sell to Alltech. As everybody was aware, that was year before last, but recently, this past year, the Pike TV actually moved into on the bottom floor of the technical building there at the library, which gave them more interaction with the university in a much better location. The downtown projects, the City and Main Street program worked with the commission on a new statute that will be unveiled and completed in 2016, but started in 2015, honoring former governor and former university president now, Paul E. Patton. And then the city was awarded $5,000 grant for the continued revitalization for the downtown facade program, and I could do a whole spiel on all the improvements that occurred in 2015 in downtown that the commission wanted to see. Other issues, city operation, 2000 personnel changes, 2014-15 audit was just released to the commission, and as the commission heard and the community heard first-handed, we had another outstanding audit, 9 months worth of reserve on hand, and everything was clean. There was, by the way, and Tanya nor I wanted to correct him until we had the opportunity to review, but Donna did mention that we were over on one account, which was the comp account, and that wasn't true. There was a wrong number that was plugged in, so we were actually within budget on that also, just for your all's information. That was corrected before it was sent to the state. We executed an annual agreement now for the turf soccer field, as the commission was concerned that the grass up there was tearing up very easily, so we hired the same company that takes care of the field for the Commonwealth Stadium. Now it's turf, but the soccer field there for UK, who now went in and killed everything out, put new Bermuda down, grew it, and now treats it, and it's done a lot better since we've done that. Staffing changes, you can see. Elizabeth as new city grant administrator, tourism director Andy, zip line manager Morgan, environmental program Lisa, administrative ED was Emily, firefighters Matthew, Charles, Tyler, Lucas, and Corey, dispatcher Matthew, and then we promoted Kenny Sampson, Kevin Miracle, Jamie Sparks to lieutenant with the fire department, and then Packy Bentley, Robert Courtney, and Kenneth Forsythe to battalion chief. Miscellaneous items, one of the things that the commission is great to do is to point out other successes, and I applaud you on honoring various members of our community by adopting various proclamations. In 2015, the Commission adopted proclamations for the following: the junior high cheerleaders for winning the 2015 Universal Cheerleading Association Championship, the 2015 International Community Problem Solving, along with the FBLA American Competition through Pikeville High School. Pikeville Elementary Academic Team and one district and regional. You honored the celebration of Pikeville High School through a proclamation of the 100th year reunion. You also developed, and the city released a 30-plus minute video, now and then video, outlining the progression since the early 1900s to all the changes that have been taken place recently. And we do offer that video free to anybody that wants to email City Hall a copy of it. We also honored the 2015 Pikeville Junior High School football team for being the state runner-up. And then, of course, recently the 2015 Pikeville High School varsity football team for becoming our state champs. We also adopted recently a proclamation honoring former Parks Director, City Manager, and Commissioner Smokey Blankenship. We presented a $30,000 check to the Senior Citizens Program. And I won't go through them to bore you with, but you also see the 2015 involvements by the city manager that is in your packet, along with, again, these are the ordinances that I thought you would be most interested in. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through all those. What I would like to do, though, so that gets you through the 911 center, it gets you through the expo, it gets you through, again, a lot of the highlights for 2015 last year. What I would turn your attention to is this sheet, which these are some of the projects that I mentioned a moment ago. And it's the heading of it is City of Pikeville Current Projects. This will give you an ideal of the projects that we're currently doing, which again I mentioned the Bike Trail Farmers Market, et cetera, and I'm going to go through some of these real quickly on the slideshow. But what I wanted really to do, the reason I included the sheet is if you turn back to the third page, over the last 2 years of all the accomplishments and millions of dollars that's been invested in the community with various projects. That, again, for your reviewing pleasure. Last, I would like, if I can work it, I'm going to go through this very quickly because this will give you some visuals of some of the projects that we're currently working on. Again, I mentioned recent projects that just finished, which are in your packet that I asked you just to turn to. And as you can see, there's numerous and several. I think at one time we estimated close to $500 million worth of investments in the community over the last 2 years. New projects as we move forward. We mentioned the new bike trail, the farmers market, the Thompson's Road lift station, the retail development, which I mentioned earlier, the downtown Main Street Pizza, the Tudors, Rustic Roots, the Irish Style Brew Pub, Chick-fil-A, All-Tex Distillery, York House, Double Quick. Still to come is the Pikeville Medical Center expansion, the telecommunications school, the optometry school, dark fiber, fiber to the premise. The Marions branch obviously is the industrial park. That in totality is about a $35 million project, which again the bulk of that was taken care of by grant. And then moving forward, we've got the water tank to be completed, the copper sulfate manufacturing plan that we're working on, and then of course the sewer plant. Some of the projects that are still to come, assuming that the budget stays as it is the Helen Brown Bridge. This, again, just gives you some visibility of some of the projects that I'm talking about. And again, this is the lift station that I've mentioned several times of where it is now. It'll be located at the back of the property. The line runs straight through the blacktop and connects with the existing sewer line on Thompson's Road now. So we did all that work prior to getting the funding for this. And as the commission can see, everything on the right was filled up. Over on the left is what's being worked. This is a later phase, but the 10,000 feet and all this is what I mentioned earlier, and there's still some store frontage room for things to later be announced. Again, just visibility. These are some, again, some visual aids. These are the strip center there that we mentioned, GNC. One Main Finance K's Wildcat Warehouse, which is coming, and then the Pro Golf Shop. These are the brands of the new restaurants that have either announced or are trying to announce. The one that's still up in the air, of course, is Tudor's, which is still trying to take care of the problem with the property. And again, just for visual aspects, is when you're coming across the bridge, you see you run directly into Lowe's Home Center. The library now sits in this vacant area here, so Tractor Supply at the bottom of the screen, Buffalo and Bojangles is across the street. This is a photo, most of you have seen it, but just for visual again, for those that are watching, see what the new Buffalo will look like, which will be the largest model in their wheelhouse right now. And again, the inside of it will have the overlook the river with the deck outside, which is going to be great. Double quick, this was on the slide because it wasn't open when I prepared this last week, but of course today being Monday was their first official opening day. Most of us, or several of us, had the opportunity of viewing the facility last week, which is a nice addition to the community, unlike any that you'll ever see, and had the opportunity of speaking to the owners, Don and Missy, and this is the first of its kind, will probably be the last of its kind in their brand. So they've really gone all out. I commend them. Healthcare, of course, Pikeville Medical Center will soon be doing some additional work. We mentioned the dentist office, which is down on Cassidy. The farmers market, that's a view which will go on the old WLSI property, right adjacent to the baseball field. We expect to do phase 1, which is this area here, and then at a later time we'll do phase 2 as other funding becomes available. Educational, of course, this is what the artist rendition of the new telecommunication facility. This is the existing building now. So as you can see, the front of the building changes a little bit, and they're kicking the telecommunications center out on the side of the building. So a big change in the way that will look. And I think that's about a little over $5 million project. The optometry school, as you can see, its work has been going on all through 2015, slated to be completed fall 2016, but will be a great addition to the landscape of the boulevard. Infrastructure, we talked about the proposed bike trail. The bike trail is outlined in the blue line, which goes all the way around the horseshoe at the various junctures as well. So that we hope to be complete or started in spring. We talked about the gigabit community. Well, of course, we're working on the current feasibility study with CTC and Joanne. And this isn't a fun slide, but back to what Frankie had asked us last meeting, is this is kind of what a VAT's going to look like with the new sewer plant. So what you have is your membranes that are dropped into the tank, and to simply increase your capacity, you drop more membranes. We talked about the Marions Branch project, and again, overall, when you look at the other investments that will be made, it's going to be close to a $50 million project. And just to give a visual, as you can see, the size of Marions Branch in field compared to downtown Pikeville. This was a great shot that was recently on the News Express's calendar that One East Kentucky actually shot with a flyover drone, but it gives you a great view of what the road now up there looks like, and what Marions Branch is like. No other industrial site, I'm sure that anybody would come in contact with. Beautiful. The bridge, again, scheduled to be completed in October this year. Fasten off, you're on South Mel Trail, is the white roof on the top. The bridge will come and intersect with the new road. And then also as part of the FEMA project, the Kiowani Road will also be shored up and replaced, the damage there that's replaced. I already went through all the events and attractions, everything that I just named earlier, and just for viewing, that's been a great addition to the quality of life and community as well, pulling more and more into the community. I mentioned the distiller and brewery. The distiller that was originally released looked a little different than this. It didn't have the brick facade. Obviously, the new rendition of what Alltech plans on doing is going to be phenomenal. What a lot of folks haven't seen, and I don't think it's been actually even in the media, is what the Second Street side will look like, which will look like a typical Irish street front. So this is what the back side of the property. There's a lot of folks I've heard comments, is it going to be a tin building? Is it just going to have windows? And the answer is no. It will be a very appealing addition to really help improve the overall look in Second Street with all the other things that the facade program's already taken care of. And of course, the York House we've already gone through. I mentioned, and I think I'm close to my last slide, the calendar of events, everything that's color-coded is what is scheduled for this coming year. Our season always kicks off in April with Hibley Days. It's when the zip line opens and things are layered on. So more and more will be added to the calendar as other events come in. But these are the things that we do pretty much week in and week out. And that is my presentation. As you can see, I've still got 5 minutes. As you can see, the city had a very busy year last year. And this year starting off is no different. We still have a lot of projects to complete. A lot of things that I didn't mention. Another couple of restaurants that I'm talking to, a couple of other retailers that wasn't announced today, and then we'll be concentrating a lot of our effort towards driving Marion's Branch. That concludes my 2015 year-end review. I appreciate you listening. With any comments or questions, I was going to throw that out because I saw some of you making notes.
I just, back to your projects, Donovan, you've got the $1.4 million coal severance grant, and appreciate the county and
Yes.
representatives working. You can see that other money came because of that $1.4 million.
Yes, sir.
You know, Governor Beshear's out of office now, and every governor since you and I and the rest of this commission has been great to work with. And I just want to give him a shout out. Leslie Combs with the Marion Branch Industrial Park, all the road systems that she's done for us has just been fantastic, and getting that 10-year solid waste agreement with the city and the county. I appreciate the fiscal court and the judge working with you.
Yes, sir.
Keeping our rates low to the people they represent as well in the city of Pikeville. That's about it. You had a terrible winter with a lot of freezing and precipitation, and that's the reason why your roads went.
Yes, sir.
And, I think you did a good job keeping them up. Anybody else? It's just
That and exactly the kind of notes I made, Commissioner. One other thing I wanted to really emphasize is our audit. I think people don't realize how big a deal that is to have such a clean audit with all the different projects that we have going on, and how streamlined that the ladies here do and Donovan keeping everything running smoothly. Just a tremendous feat to get it done, I'll be honest with you. So hats off to them.
Thank you, Mayor.
these, Donovan, also on the two things you have coming up is that sewer plant.
Yes, sir.
And the folks don't realize what this commission, you and
Yes.
all the representatives have done to update this sewer plant, that it will meet future standards of the EPA, and that we won't have that hanging over our head.
That's right.
Another project that you're mentioning is this dark fiber that this whole commission has been deeply involved in. That's going to be big for this, huge for this area. And this commission following is going to have to deal with this, what we're going to do with it. It's this dark fiber.
Yes, sir.
And hats off to you for a good year. That's things I foresee.
Well, as I've heard several of you say over the last 12 years, is that we're going to slow down and try to take next year a little easy. And that never seems to happen. Not that we wanted to. I say that in jest, but you know, Mayor, you said something a moment ago, both you and Frankie, and I just want to hit on, is that a lot of this, I think that may be my phone. Yes, it was. First time it's ever done.
Tell her you'll be home.
It was my alarm. Accidentally, it was telling me it's 6 o'clock is what it was doing. A lot of the projects that in the 12 years that I've had the privilege of working for the city and for this commission. I could sit here another 3 hours and commend everybody that's sitting around the room, everybody that's out there in the field taking care of business day in and day out. We got a staff that's second to none that does wonderful things, and I'm very proud and to be associated with. And a lot of this stuff comes obviously from your all's vision and your support, but also for the hard work that those that are in the trenches do daily to protect the city, to take care of the financial component, and to make sure that the overall quality of life continues to march forward. So on behalf of my staff, I appreciate you and look forward to a good 16.
I want to say one thing, Don. In the past 10 years, this city has grown every year.
Yes, sir.
And to grow as much as we did this past year with the local economy the way it is, it's just unbelievable. I attended an event about a week and a half ago. A good friend of mine, Mike Lidfick, he was very complimentary of each one of the commissioners, past commissioners. And, he was just couldn't believe all the good things going on. A good friend of mine named John Deskins, he bought a farm down in Johnson County. And he told me, he said, when you're in Pikeville, he said you don't realize what you've got till you move out of Pikeville, and you don't have it anymore. He said dealing with other towns that don't have everything in place that Pikeville's got is extremely hard. And he misses being up here just for the quality of life that is here in Pikeville.
100%.
Good job, and I think we've got staff that's second to none.
Very appreciate that. Well, gentlemen, I apologize if there's any other comments I would ask you all to make them out there, because first time, I think in my career, sorry, Mayor, we're 3 minutes late. I don't think that's ever happened.